Welcome to Bunny Hugs and Mental Health, the podcast that deals with all things mental health. We talk to professionals, survivors, and loved ones about their sometimes informative, sometimes uplifting, and sometimes tragic stories. I'm your host of the show, Todd Rennebaum, advocate, recovering addict, experienced sufferer of depression and anxiety, and author of the children's book, Sometimes Daddy Cries. Hello, I'm Todd Rennebaum, and welcome to another episode of Bunny Hugs and Mental Health, brought to you by the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. That's the network where you can find all types of wonderful podcasts made right here in Saskatchewan. You can go to saskpodcastnetwork.com. I almost screwed that up. But anyway, this episode of Bunny Hugs and Mental Health is brought to you by Penny University Bookstore in Regina. It's 3104 13th Avenue. Call 639-571-2186 or stop in and see Annabelle and get yourself some wonderful books. If you don't want to see people, you can just go online at pennyu.ca and do all your book shopping there. Speaking of a Penny University bookstore, I did a live book reading there last weekend for my kids' book, Sometimes Daddy Cries, and I just want to thank everyone that came out. I'll give out some quick names. There was a Kaylee and a Tim. There was Heather. There was Danielle and her mom. There was Heather's friend. There was Jude and Dominic, and yeah, a whole bunch of really great people came out. So thank you very, very much for doing that. Now, I think I'm ready to talk about this episode. And on this episode, it is two wonderful people, Wanda and Chris Ball. Now they have they had two kids. One is Cadence, that's their daughter. She just graduated our high school here in June. The other is their 17-year-old son. He passed away just before he turned 17. He took his own life, and his name is Kai. And that's what we're going to talk about here on the podcast this week. Now, we mentioned a few different things and places throughout the episode. So if you're not familiar with Regina, the capital city of Saskatchewan, we mentioned a place called Dojak, and that's kind of like a youth detention center. We mentioned Street Culture. Street Culture is a Regina-based non-profit charitable organization that actively works to empower at-risk, vulnerable, and homeless youth within the community. And we also mentioned, I've mentioned this quite a few times, Pine Lodge, and that's a treatment center for addictions that I worked at one time. So now you have those references, and you have the reference to Cadence, their daughter. Now the interview gets a little heavy at times, so just to warn you, they are still grieving parents, and so it gets it just gets heavy at times. Also throughout the interview, they get critical sometimes of Kai's treatment while he was going through his mental illness and his addictions and stuff. So don't take it personal. They're grieving parents. They're still going through a lot of pain, and of course they're going to be critical of some of these groups. It's completely my honor and privilege to speak to Wanda and Chris. They're always wonderful people, and they're always completely open and vulnerable about what happened to Kai. So I just can't thank them enough for doing that. So without further ado, I give you Wanda and Chris Ball.
As a little one, he was very outgoing, happy, loved his superheroes. He had his favorite Batman car. He'd race that thing and head over it quite often. He was going so fast. You want to add anything?
So far, so good.
He was about 11, 12 maybe, when we got our first indication that there was a problem. The school let us know that he had told a fellow student that he couldn't cope with what he was feeling or how he was feeling, and he wanted to cut. And when I got that phone call, I was quite shocked. Like, I didn't see any signs or anything leading up to that. So I was really taken aback and questioned it. Like, are you sure? Like, not my kid. It's not happening to my kid. And it all kind of snowballed from there, I guess.
Did you seek out help right away when you heard that, or?
Yes, we did. The school was like super supportive. They got us in touch with who we needed to get in touch with, like a counselor, and he had supports at the school because it did involve other children as well, because he was confiding in other kids his age. So the counseling started, but he seemed to get worse instead of better. Like, when the cutting started, we couldn't see it. He'd hide it quite well. But as it progressed, he was more aggressive with it, and like his arms were covered from his elbows down both sides. Like, just, and deep. Like, he needed stitches so many times. I lost count. And he would like soak through clothing he was wearing, and at first he tried to hide it like from other people as well, but eventually he didn't seem to care if people saw it. Like, it didn't really affect him, I guess. And yeah.
Was he 11 then? Or was that a little older?
That was 14, 15.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How old was he when he passed? Was he 15? No, he was 16.
He was 16, yeah.
Okay.
Just like a month away from his 17th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, was he diagnosed with anything?
He was at first diagnosed with depression and put on various medication, but nothing really seemed to help. And he would get frustrated and stop taking it. So then things would get worse again. And just before he passed away, he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. So, and that one seemed to really fit everything. I guess if you want to call it a fit, it seemed to go with all the what's involved with it. So,
like, all the symptoms seem to match what you were going through.
Yeah.
You mind talking a little bit about, or a lot about, the frustrations you had with trying to navigate the mental health system and some of the troubles you ran into?
Oh, where do I even start? Like the counseling, that was provided, he would go and meet with the worker here at the hospital in Indian Head, and she was a beautiful person, but she wasn't Kai's fit.
Yeah.
So there wasn't. He didn't get anything out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And then when he did end up in the hospital on the adolescent psychiatric unit the first time, it seemed to help. Like, he seemed to, like, not at first, obviously. He was more stressed than anything, but I mean, what kid wouldn't be? But as the weeks went on when he was there, it seemed to help him, give him coping mechanisms, and he kind of took away from that. But as far as helping, I guess, obviously it didn't do its job. And then, how old was he? 14? We had to bring him up. He was brought up by ambulance to Regina, and
because he was bleeding so bad, or just
yes,
you were? Okay.
Yeah, because he had 12, 14 stitches.
No, that was the time he was up to 40.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
it was really bad, and the on-call child psychologist wanted to send us home, and I lost my mind.
He just gave himself 40 stitches. And
yeah,
they were going to send him home
because Kai said he wasn't in danger of hurting himself.
Even though he just gave himself 40 stitches.
Yeah, got 40 stitches in Indian Head. The doctor here thought it was bad enough to be rushed by ambulance to Regina to get told, no, he's at no harm to anybody or himself. We can send this child home.
Wow.
And Wanda had to threaten to punch the doctor out to get Kai admitted.
Huh. Well, I didn't do that. Cut that part out. What I did was I went on Facebook and said, to our family, and I said, and his family, if anybody's around, I need you guys here. I need somebody to back me up here. So quite a few came, about 12 or so, 11, 12. And I went into that room and I said, I'm not taking this kid home with me. And I looked Kai right in the eye. I said, you are not coming home with me. I said, it's up to you. And I said to the doctor, it's up to you what you're going to do with him. But he is not coming home with me. He needs to be here. He's not safe. And I stormed out of the hospital. Went into the yard or parking lot or whatever. And the doctor actually called me back in about 10 minutes later and said, okay, we found him a bed upstairs. But he's not going to do the traditional adolescent stay. We're going to teach him just coping mechanisms, and he's going to have to stay in his room by himself. This was their problem solving of the time or whatever. I said, okay, that's fine, because he's not coming home with me. So they did keep him. And from there, street culture came up. How did that happen?
Well, actually, you mind rewinding a bit? The first time you took him to the hospital, what was there an event that happened that made you, like, what happened that you took him to the hospital in the first place the first time? Cutting again?
That was cutting, yeah. And he had threatened to, I believe at that time he was going to use a machete and cut his neck.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was,
And he stayed, so first time he stayed several weeks in the hospital?
9 days, I think.
9 days,
9 days, oh, okay. Okay. So then he came home, things were okay a bit.
And then it
Gave
all
himself
started
40
again.
stitches.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're caught up. So then street culture, did you talk to street culture? Or how did that work?
No,
The social
before
worker-
street culture, he was in Saskatoon.
Right. We started working with a social worker that deals with the kids on the adolescent psychiatric ward. And one of our stipulations is if he was to come home, he had to go to treatment.
For addiction.
Yes.
For addiction.
As far as we know, it was just marijuana, but it could have been more. No one's ever told us otherwise.
Right.
But we didn't feel it was safe for him or for Cadence or us for him to come home until he got that treatment. So there was a lot of kicking and screaming, but he did agree to go. So he went to Saskatoon. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And I can't remember how long of a stay that was.
I think it was 14 or 21 days, something like that.
Yeah. So he completed that, and he was good when he came home. He stayed clean for 2 months,
Something like that, yeah.
and then it all started again.
Was he on meds at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For sleeping too, and none of it really seemed to help.
So then this is when he went to street culture then? Shortly after this?
No, he started using again
Yeah.
and came home really high one night, took a swing at me. I threw him out the door, phoned the cops, and of course they came to the house. And well, what do you want us to do? We drove by him on Main Street. Well, 2 cops, 2 cars, one of them could have picked this child up. Right? Because he's abusive, he's not himself. So one went, picked him up, they took him to Dojak. And I don't know how long he stayed at Dojak.
About a week.
About a week.
Yeah.
And then he went from there to street culture.
Right, because we had to take out a
Restraining order.
yeah.
He was getting violent. Well, yeah.
Yeah, you smashed the door of the
Window in our
Window.
porch door, and but that was
Because, like, I loved marijuana. That was my thing, too.
yeah.
I never got violent on marijuana.
I see. That's where I think there was a little bit more than just marijuana that night,
Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay.
because he definitely wasn't himself.
Yeah. I got violent with alcohol, so maybe even... Yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was 2 nights after we kicked him out that he came back, because we found pipes and
Torch and stuff.
torch and stuff. So, and he knew the rules that he was going to be out of the house if there was any more drugs. So, yeah, he went from Dojak to street culture, which was supposed to be, what, a month tops?
It was supposed to be a month. So when he first got there, he was assigned a social worker. She was supposed to check in 2 or 3 times a week to start out with, and then at least once a week after. She never checked in.
At
Never.
all. While he was in street culture. So
Yeah.
he was just
just
street
there.
culture, hanging out.
Yeah. And they were like, I can't say enough good things about them. Like, they brought out the underlying problems. They helped him deal with them. Like, it was a good place for him to be.
Right.
So, yeah.
It was just... So street culture was good. It was just the social worker that was supposed to...
Right.
Was no assistance whatsoever.
And while he was at street culture, we tried to get him into school in Regina. Went to the central school place where you get these kids in school. Needed an address to find out what school to put them in. Without talking to the social worker, we had to use street culture's address. And yeah, he was in street culture for 3 months, I think. 3 and a
How's he
half
doing
months.
there? Was he... Seemed to be doing okay?
He seemed to do good. He went to school. He kind of came out of his shell, they said. I mean, he loved to cook. He was in the kitchen helping with suppers and baking and... Yeah.
And from talking to the other kids that he had met at street culture, he was helping them through some of their problems they were having, because some of them talked to us at one of the marches we had at the ledge there afterwards, the year after, and said Kai was like one of the counselors to him, because he'd listen, talk to him. You know, so he was there helping. But that was Kai, though. He was always willing to help people out. But it's like he almost forgot to help himself through it all.
Yeah. I've seen that lots in Pine Lodge, too. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that, but it's almost like you feel like if you help someone else, and because it feels good, so it's
Right.
almost like a drug, too. It's like you see someone else feeling good because of something you did, so then, you know, whether it's his self-confidence or whatever it was, or...
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's easier to help somebody else than it is
Than
to
yourself.
help.
too.
Yeah.
That's true.
It is, I know, and a lot of counselors at Pine Lodge are like, no, focus on yourself. Don't worry
Yeah.
about the other people.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So he was there for 3 months. He's 15 now, at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what decided them to, or did you guys decide to bring him home?
Between us and street culture, because they were running out of
Beds.
beds, and it's supposed to be a month place.
Oh, I see.
But the social worker was no help in trying to find somewhere to put this child and give him the help that he needs or whatever. So basically it's you need to take him home. So
Yeah.
we did.
Because they've already extended him.
Yeah.
Twice.
And yeah, while he was there, he did run away once from street culture the first time.
Yes.
Within the first week. But they did take him back, I think 3 days later.
That was tough because that was after the restraining order was put out. We were coming home. We had got the call that he had taken off from street culture. So we were on our way home from work and we passed him by Balgony on the highway. We couldn't stop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like he was hitchhiking or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and we couldn't stop to pick the poor kid up because of previous...
Right.
So I phoned the RCMP and said, you know, this 15-year-old kid's walking on the highway. Can you do something about it? And I guess they phoned the ambulance because the ambulance did go and pick him up. So
Took him back to the hospital, and between the hospital and street culture, he got back with a lot of promises from him.
Right. So then you guys decided to bring him home. Wow. Kind of, because you had no other options.
Right.
brought him home beginning of February 9th. And he was gone by March.
Yeah.
Really, within 2 months.
Yeah.
That must have been... Like, I've talked to a few people now on the podcast who've lost sisters and parents and all types of people, and like, I could not imagine losing that child. Like,
No, it was...
This is my first time speaking to parents who've lost somebody, and yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, nothing compares.
Nothing. And I don't care how you lose a child, nothing compares to losing a child.
Yeah.
And yeah, that day the day it happened, he was making big promises for the rest of the school year with the principal, and like it seemed like he had everything under control, but I guess he knew what he was doing, and that it made him happy for the last day.
Right.
Because he just,
So you don't think it was a spur of a moment thing?
He had it planned.
He had a plan a couple days before. He had told a friend that he had the gun and he was ready, and at that time his friend had called the RCMP, and the RCMP talked to Kai. They brought him to the station, and Kai just shrugged it off. Oh, I was just talking. I'm not going to do it. It's, it's fine. RCMP sent him home.
Was that the Thursday?
And they never took the guns or anything?
Was that the Thursday?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because they called you, did they not, the RCMP?
Mm-hmm.
And you tried to get the RCMP to put him back in the hospital, did you not?
I did. I argued with her, and she said that her hands were tied. She could not
Force someone.
Yeah.
I remember that day. Like, I cried my eyes out. Because, I could see your house from here. And,
yeah.
And just because of the stuff I'd gone through, and, I attempted suicide once myself, and, man, it was like, yeah. I never even met Kai. I'd seen him go by a few times, and Cadence too and stuff, but it was, yeah. It rocked the whole town.
It did. And speaking of that, the town did come together hugely for us. It was unbelievable support throughout.
Yeah.
It was just amazing how supportive it was.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking how you guys found out?
RCMP phoned Wanda.
No.
Oh.
Wade, the principal of the high school at the time, he was so good with Kai. And Kai, he was the only one that would go and visit Kai when Kai was on the ward. Really? Wade would go see him. Yeah. They had it was kind of a weird friendship principal-student thing, but Wade seemed to kind of understand Kai and take him under his wing. But anyways, Wade had phoned my cell, and I've gotten these calls so many times since this all started, so it was just another call. And he said, you need to come home right away. Kai's having a bad day. And that's as far as he would go.
And Wade already knew at this point?
Yes.
So I texted Kai's phone and I said, what's going on? Like, what's the problem or whatever? Do I need to come home? And there was no answer. I'm not saying he answered all the time, but he was pretty good. He knew if I was worried, he would text me. So I phoned the school back and I said, wait, I need to know what's going on. Do I need to go get Chris? And Wade said, just hang on. And he put the RCMP on the phone and he's like, I wonder your son Kai is gone. He's passed. And I was like, what? Like, just, shock, of course. And he's like, yeah, he took his life this afternoon. He's like, yeah, you can take your time coming home. We got Cadence. She doesn't know anything yet. But we have her away from the other students. And we didn't know the extent of how many people knew, because a lot of Kai's friends were at the house at the time. So we weren't sure how far the news had spread. So I was worried, of course, about our family finding out before we were able to.
Right, yeah.
So somehow I managed.
Small town, eh?
Yeah. Somehow I managed to get from East Regina to the industrial area to pick up Chris. How I made that drive, I don't know. I don't remember, but I made it. It was a struggle just to get through to him because he didn't always have his phone on. And when I phoned the company he worked for, of course they were, well, what's the problem? I don't want to tell them. I want to tell, But thankfully by the time I got to where his main post, he was there. And
so is that when you told Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. Oh, okay.
So yeah, then we basically left there fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Calling friends, family on the way home, meet us at school, here's what's going on. I don't even think I got to talk to my boss till we were 3/4 of the way home.
Yeah, like he drove and I was just boning.
Yeah. We had both families met us at the school. We pulled in the driveway, and of course there was RCMP from out of town, had no idea who we were.
They told us not to go to the house, but we did.
Yeah.
Of course we didn't listen.
Had to drive by and stop, and because we knew nothing except he had done it.
Right.
So it's like, I'm finding out what's happening.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, there was some miscommunication there as well with the RCMP the day of, because one of our friends had said, are Chris and Wanda getting picked up? Or do I have to go to the city and get them? Oh no, we have an officer en route to go pick the parents up to come home.
Really?
Yeah. Because Carter's mom, Laura, was told that there was an officer en route to pick us up.
Wow.
You get news like that and have to drive what's supposed to be an hour home.
Yeah.
It took nowhere near that to get home that day, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't imagine getting that news and then commuting home.
Yeah, it was the longest, quickest drive home we've ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I didn't think my Buick could go that fast, but it did. There was so much going through my mind, and I was so worried about Cadence, just because you don't know what's going on, what she knows,
Yeah.
what she's going through by herself.
Yeah. Huh. And on the way, so before you went to the high school, you stopped at home.
Home, yeah.
And they didn't let you in?
No.
Right.
Which I think I'm glad for today.
Mm-hmm. We did ask how, and they told us.
Yeah, like they gave us the information we needed to know.
Right.
And then we went to the school with the counselors and everybody they had brought out. They had RCMP there to answer questions for us. They did let us go get our dogs out of the house.
But they didn't let you upstairs or anything?
No,
No.
they wouldn't let us upstairs.
Huh.
Still got phone calls driving to Grenfell, arguing with what gun he used.
Who called?
The RCMP was arguing with me with what gun he used.
Oh, I see.
Because due to the color of it, I knew what gun.
Right. Yeah, they're your guns,
Yeah, but
I know my guns.
He used a different shell in the gun. So the RCMP were going off the shell he used.
Oh, I see.
Not the actual gun. And of course I had the argument, no, I know my guns.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, we got to remove all your guns. Where's your gun cabinet key? Well, obviously it got moved.
Yeah.
If you need to, take the whole cabinet. At this point, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like we had the argument, well, you got to hide your guns better. Well, they were in a cabinet, locked, keys were hid. He found the keys, got into my cabinet.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it wasn't that way, it would have been
In some other way.
Another
Yeah,
way.
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, well, don't have access to guns. I guess I'll
Yeah.
just keep on going. Like, yeah, of course. It would have been another way.
Yeah.
What a dumb thing to argue about.
Yeah.
Or to give you shit about.
Yeah. Like I get it, they were doing their job, but
Yeah.
like I knew where my keys were, but I knew they wouldn't be in the same place because he had them out. He went in that cabinet.
Yeah.
He had them where he knew where they were.
Yeah. When I was 15, I knew everything in my house, too.
Yeah.
Like, stuff I wasn't supposed to know. I knew where it
Yeah,
all
exactly. We were all there at one point.
was. Yeah. So, I guess, how did the rest of the day go? Like, once you all got together at the high school?
Well, they brought in the victim impact person. I can't remember their official title.
Yeah.
And we talked with her for a while. She actually came to the house with us or whatever to get our
And
stuff.
okay, sorry, at this point, Kane's now knows.
Yes.
She's with us, yes.
Okay. So then they took you to the house, you said? Sorry?
Well, we drove ourselves, but
We
they
drove
met
out.
us there, and they made sure we didn't go past the kitchen.
Yeah. They let us get our dogs because we didn't want to leave the dogs in the porch all night because they had the dogs locked downstairs.
We couldn't stay in the house till we had them
Cleaners come in the next day.
Oh, okay.
So we went to Grenfell to his mom's for the night. Sleepless night.
Yeah.
I just can't even imagine. And again, I remember hearing about it.
Yeah.
And the RCMP were still over there. Like, I don't know how long they were there for.
Well, it was 8 o'clock before we went back, and there was still 2 or 3 of them there.
It was almost 11. See, I requested the police report. So I could tell you a lot of stuff.
If you want.
Like, I know who was there and who did what and who said what and how he made it happen, and I shouldn't have read it, but I did. So.
Yeah.
Is there stuff you wish you didn't read about?
Yeah.
Yes. But when you ask for the police report, it goes right from the first dealing with Kai right up until the final case was closed.
Oh, I see.
So it's very to the point.
Right.
Everything.
Did you guys know he had threatened to use a gun before to his friend? Like you said, the RCMP talked to him and...
Nope. We found that out after.
After the fact.
Really?
Yeah. We did not know there was a threat with a gun. Otherwise, my guns would have been moved.
That was in the police report that I got after.
Yeah. And I would have had my guns moved out of the house.
Yeah.
Granted, there would have been another way he would have found.
Of course, yeah.
Right. But I still would have, at that point, would have had all those guns out, destroyed whatever I had to do.
Yeah. So the RC... I don't know, that's bizarre to me that they never let the parents know, or even like his friend told the RCMP, but the friend didn't tell you guys.
No.
And I'm not blaming
No.
the kid at all, because I mean, you're...
He did what he had to do. He got a hold of the RCMP and figured he did what he had to do. I understand that.
Yeah.
The RCMP
You
should
know
have...
what the hell you're doing when you're 15.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he did that, even.
Yeah.
If I was 15 and my friend said something like that, I don't
Yeah,
even know if I would
whatever.
have taken him seriously.
Yeah, like, why are you talking like that? Don't be
Yeah.
stupid.
Let alone go to the RCMP, so...
Yeah. But I think with Kai, with the cutting and that, some of his friends
Right.
were a little bit more on high alert
Right, yeah.
because of the issues we had with the cutting, 40 stitches.
Yeah.
I don't even... Thinking back now, was that even a suicide attempt going that deep?
Right.
You know, you never know, because you get 40 stitches in your arm.
That's a little more than just self-harm.
That's a little more than self-harm at that point. Like, I'm not saying
And it wasn't just on the underside, like, he was all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it soaked through like a bunny hug a hoodie that day. Mm-hmm. That's how they found out at school, was the bottom of his sleeve
Was dripping.
was dripping blood.
It was just completely soaked.
Yeah.
You said earlier that some of his friends were at the house?
Yeah, there was 6 of them.
6 of them. He texted.
So they were in the house when it happened?
Yeah, they were going
Oh my god.
up the stairs as... Well, there's different stories there too.
Oh.
Because people's minds, when that kind of stuff happens...
Yeah.
We heard one of the kids were right at the bedroom door. The RCMP has guaranteed us that didn't happen. They were on their way up as the RCMP opened the door, and that's when it happened, but the kids weren't
Right.
around the stairs yet.
Right.
Because you go up the stairs and then you have to turn around to...
Right.
Thing, so.
But yeah, I guess... I don't know how to say this without sounding bad, but one of Kai's friends, which I hang out with a lot now, because he was one of the ones in the house.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I guess we're each other's comfort,
Right.
because we went through that traumatic together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we have lots of long talks and drives and talk about it. But yeah, I guess he got the text at his girlfriend's house, went back to school, and went, hey, wait, no, and drove over to our house and pulled in the same time the RCMP showed up.
So he was texting his friend saying goodbye, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He had texted one of them and said, can you phone the RCMP and an ambulance, but don't tell the fire department. Because Chris was on.
Fire department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So he wanted to make sure we didn't get that call to our address.
Did they call the RCMP and ambulance, or did they just go over to the house?
They called.
They called.
They called. Okay.
Yeah. They called.
Yeah, right, because the RCMP was there.
Yeah. They called RCMP, and then 4 or 5 of them, or 6 of them, went over because it was Kai.
Yeah.
Like there was a few of them that were really close with Kai.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there was 4 or 5 that left the high school, and
So now there's, like, talking about mental health. So obviously Kai was very ill. And
Yes.
he was going through all this stuff. And now these other poor kids must be going through their own shit.
oh, heavily, yes.
Yeah.
I know, like, there are at least 2 of them that are getting really good counseling and have been since it happened. But I also know of a couple of the other ones that turned to drugs and alcohol and
Yeah.
are going down that road. So
They're just not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's, yeah. That's how it goes, unfortunately.
And yeah.
Okay, so now the house has been cleaned up. You're back in the house. I mean, you guys have been fairly public and vocal about all of this, right? Almost from right from the get-go. When did you kind of get the fire in your belly to start advocating and
well, honestly, I was pissed off.
yeah, me too. That's how I started.
I was pissed off. Obviously, he didn't get the help he needed when he needed it, or before it was too late. And I didn't want any other parent to
Go through this, because no parent should go through this.
Yeah.
No parent, no grandparent should bury their child or grandchild.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you've met quite a few other parents now,
Yes, a lot.
and do they have similar stories about
Yes.
Yes.
the system and whatever? Yeah,
Yeah, it's a broken system.
yeah.
Not necessarily blaming the workers,
No, yeah,
Per
that's
se.
the thing, right? Yeah,
but the system as a whole is really broken.
yeah.
Because we've met some great counselors, like the manager of the youth ward. Can't remember his name now, but he was great with us. This guy was really good.
Yeah.
I can't even think of his first name now, but anyways, he was really good. He was the manager of the youth ward, and any questions we had, he worked through with us. He was there for Kai. He was there to see Kai leave when he got the green light to leave. You know, we could go up to the city while he was in there, take him out for a few hours, get him, get that break from the hospital. Because if you're stuck there, as a youth, if you're stuck in that little ward,
Yeah,
I think that's sometimes even worse.
yeah, yeah.
It was nice to be able to get Kai out for those couple hours, take him to a McDonald's for his French fries that he loved,
And his Pepsi.
and his Pepsi.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, even as an adult, it sucked being on the ward.
Yeah.
It was nice to get out and go to wherever.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that they need to know is that not every kid is going to fall under their list of what's going to work and what isn't.
Yeah,
Every kid's mind
cookie
works
cutter
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
one size fits all.
And they need to look at that differently, I think, and that I think that might change a few things.
Yeah, and as a parent, they got to start listening to some of the parents as well, because it's like our voice was nothing to them.
Yeah,
We're just parents looking for an easy way out of parenting.
right. That's how that made you feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much every time.
Yeah.
I spoke to a psych nurse. She was actually a nurse on the youth ward.
Right.
I don't know if you listened to that
Yes,
episode.
part of it, not the whole thing. Part of it.
And I mean, she's really young. She's only been there maybe a few months or something.
Yeah,
And she was a little defensive because I kind of said some things, and I totally get it. And I tried to say the same thing. Like, it's not the people that
No.
work. Like, I had I mean, I had a couple crotchety old nurses.
Well,
but,
of course.
and then I had, but for the most part, it was wonderful people. I've had like wonderful counselors. I've had wonderful counseling at Pine Lodge. You know, it's the people are amazing that work in all the healthcare and addiction systems. But the system itself is just
and it has never been the people for us. It's always been the system itself.
Yeah, and
because it got cookie cutter, for lack of a better term, cookie cutter criteria.
Yeah,
and it not
formulas. And
not one size fits all. It doesn't.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I even spoke to the CEO of the health region at the time, and he admitted it's like you're either in the hospital or you're not. Like, there's no in between. There's no, because not everybody has to be in the hospital,
right,
or hospitalized. But that's what it is. It's either you're in the hospital or you're not in the hospital. There's no in between. There's no, so people get turned down all the time. So then it perpetuates it, makes it worse.
Yeah.
And they only have, I don't even know how many beds, 30 beds.
Or something, I understand that. But that's where the government and the system needs to step up. And also from what we went through and talking to other people, it seems like there's a two-problem system there. There's the mental health, and a good majority of it turns into substance abuse. So they don't want to fix both. They only want to fix one. Yeah. You can't fix the problem if you're only fixing part of it. Yeah. You can't put a Band-Aid on a cut that needs stitches. Yeah. You got to fix both of them. You can't go either or. It doesn't work.
Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the same system. Like, I don't know how many people I've met through Pine Lodge, either as a client myself or working there, that they were also in the psych ward and have bipolar or suicidal thoughts or whatever.
Right.
And so it's like, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's just mental health.
Right.
And addictions is part of mental health.
It's a subsidiary, and I don't mean to classify everybody with mental health issues as being substance abusers, because it's not. Yeah. But the ones that have both, you got to fix both. Fixing just one isn't fixing the problem. Yeah, that's right. And you can't get through to these people. We got to work at one at a time. We got that a fair bit too. Really? Yeah. Like and politicians or people in the system. People in the system, yeah. It's one at a time. Well, no, because one leads to heavier than the other. Yeah. So it was an ongoing battle with, you take care of one.
Honestly, only one politician that we connected with and that actually we felt like listened to us. And still does to this day. So.
To this day.
Trent Weatherspoon?
Yes.
That was our guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Him and Nicole.
I mean, even he'll message me occasionally on Facebook and stuff still and be like sincere, and I don't know, maybe it's all bullshit politics, I don't know, but it sure feels real to me.
It does, because we went right to their house, like right to the government house, and the only people that came out was Trent, and I think it was Nicole.
To the legislature.
At the Leds there,
The house.
The house. But it was Trent and Nicole that came out.
Nicole Sawyer.
Yeah, the governing body of Saskatchewan won't even come out to talk to us. Yeah. And I felt that kind of shameful that the people we elected, well, maybe not us directly, but the people of Saskatchewan elected these people, and they couldn't even come out and listen to us. Yeah.
Not even our own MLA.
Yeah. Yeah. And, going with the NDP and politics lately, too, I've noticed now that it happened to them, the leaders are taking credit for something other parties wanted 6 months ago with the whole mental health system stuff. Yeah. You know.
It's funny, they have a minister of addictions and mental health now, but their spending and all their stuff that they're doing, it's like no different than it was before there was a minister. Yeah. So is it just a show? What is this? What's happening? Yeah. Yeah, but that's politics. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who to trust or who to listen to.
No. Some days you kind of wonder.
Yeah, which is really, really unfortunate.
Yes.
Yeah. It's such a smoke show and bullshit.
Yeah.
Was it kind of cathartic doing those marches and doing the
Yeah,
rallies?
absolutely. I was thinking of, once all this COVID stuff is over, having another one.
Yeah, for sure.
You were talking about the two systems, the addictions and the mental health. When I was in the hospital the last time, it was actually here in Indian Head because it was just closer. And it turns out, like, if you're having mental health issues, it's actually better to go to a small town hospital because they'll just take you in.
Right.
They won't turn you away. It was what I've learned anyway. Well, for me, it worked out anyway. But my doctor in town here, he wanted me to move on, leave the hospital, but he wasn't sure, do I take him to the psych ward? Do I put him in treatment? And he talked to people, and the people at the psych ward were like, oh, maybe you should deal with his treatment or his addictions first. And he talked to people in addictions, and they said, well, you have to deal with his mental health issues first. So it doesn't make any sense to like heavily favor one over another. It's all the same shit.
Yeah.
And like doctors don't even know what to do.
No.
So,
And I think a case like Kai's that was so extreme, our small town doctors didn't know how to handle it at all. Mm-hmm. Like how to keep him safe. That's why they sent him to the city. Like I think it was pretty overwhelming for a small town doc to. For a small town,
any officials, it was overwhelming. Like it was just amazing.
Yeah.
Of all the stuff that came out after the fact, and like no organization seemed to be able to talk with other ones because of the Privacy Act due to youth.
Right.
So the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, and it was just an overwhelming who's doing what.
Yeah. So then, they say people slip through the cracks, but sounds like a really big gap.
Really, yeah, it's more than just a crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, my advice for parents would be like fight for your kids because you got to be their voice.
Yeah.
Don't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And especially if you've dealt with the system, these kids learn to tell the doctors what they want to hear.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not to stay.
Yeah.
Because quite often, Kai would talk to the doctors in Regina, and they'd be willing to send him home, and we'd go in their room with the doctor and Kai would look at us and go, well, for you guys, I will.
Right.
Or he'd look at me and his mom and go, well, for you guys, I'll stay.
Yeah. Yeah, the same thing. Well, that psych nurse, again, she was saying that quite often, though, they get the opposite, whereas people really don't need the hospital, and they rely, and they can keep coming back, keep coming back,
right.
keep coming back. Which, and quite often they are sick.
Right.
But they don't need hospitalization, so then they get nothing.
Right.
So it's either hospital or nothing. It's like, well, obviously they need something.
Yes.
So then what? So then now you're just perpetuating it and making it worse.
Yeah.
Because, okay, maybe they don't need the hospital, but they can't go home either. They need something.
Right.
And that's where it's like, okay, what's...
And it's just not the youth. It's anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Well, this young guy that was found in Wascana last summer, fall, or
whatever it was there,
Yeah.
Sent away, a day earlier? 2 days earlier?
It was hours.
Hours?
Mm-hmm. He was in the hospital like 2 or 3 hours before that. Yeah.
Begging for help.
Yeah.
And again, it's not the people.
No.
Their hands are tied too, and or there's the formula to follow or the whatever. And plus,
check off the right box. You gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't say exactly what we needed here, so sorry.
Yeah. Wish I could help you, but because I can't.
Yeah. Was COVID then too? Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it had just started.
Yeah.
So plus whatever COVID restrictions they're having. Oh God.
Which is another...
Don't go down that road.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's creating a whole other
generation
of mental health issues in people.
Yes.
So what good has come out of advocating for you guys? Meeting other parents and stuff, and has it been...
I think, like meeting other parents. I'm in a mom's group for Regina and area.
Oh, nice.
And... I mean, one of the moms, her 13-year-old daughter took her life. So, there's no age,
Yeah, no race, no family status,
Right.
no
Gender,
no nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an un-racist disease,
Yeah.
or unbiased disease, I guess.
Like with Kai, it wasn't like he was bullied or anything like that. It was like he was sick. Like that was obviously something that you're like most people's brains don't say self-destruct.
No.
I still can't believe after 40 stitches they wouldn't take him. That's like
Because he got the right boxes checked in there.
See, if you would have said he wasn't, instead of self-harming, if you used the word it was a suicide attempt, I bet you they would have taken him.
Yeah, but we didn't.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, you don't know that. You always learn the stuff afterwards, right?
And I can't say it was a suicide attempt then for sure.
Right.
But my mind's going with that many stitches, that much blood.
Yeah.
But
was
even
it
that,
or wasn't it?
Because I was actually told by someone at the hospital saying I needed help, and they sent me home like a year before I actually got in. And someone there actually said at one point, I can't remember which time it was, but unless you have attempted suicide, we will not admit. So unless it's like, you know what I mean? That's like the most insane thing I've ever heard. Like,
Yeah.
So unless what if I was successful?
Yeah. It's mind-boggling on...
And I don't think it's gotten much better. Like, they're spending more on mental health and education, prevention and stuff, but still, there's...
Education, prevention is one thing, but...
When you're asking for help in a hospital,
Yeah.
where do I go? What do I do?
Like, you go to the hospital, you should be at the place that can help you.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way.
Or point you in the right place, not
Yeah.
just go home.
Yeah, go home. Yeah, you came from home where all the not saying there's problems at home, but go home to where everything's boiling. Just go there.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be like firefighters going to your house and going, "Oh, go to where the flames are. You'll be fine."
Yeah.
just stay underneath the smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call us when it's burnt down.
Yeah.
So, did you have plans to do... Well, you kind of said maybe once COVID was over, you're
Once COVID is over, I think we
do it.
should again, yes.
Yeah.
Just...
And I call it my buddy Todd. He always helps.
Yeah, he helps us out a lot. He knows people.
To us, it was nice to have a couple years off, because I was hardcore doing stuff, and it's like... Because it gets frustrating, right? It's almost like gets overwhelming, and I was almost
it is super overwhelming.
Yes.
Almost making myself sick again, so I was like, you know what? I'll just talk to people over Zoom and record it. That's way nicer.
It's easier, yeah.
Now I could do it face to face with some people, but for a while there, I thought it, because I wasn't sure if you wanted to do a third year, and I was like, I'm gonna have to. How do I word?
No, and just be straight up.
Because I don't think I can do it again.
No, just be straight up, and we're fine with it.
But now that's been a few years. Yeah, it'd be nice to, rattle
grant-
a few cages again.
Yeah.
Yes, it does open some wounds, but if it saves somebody else, it's more than worth it.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And
It seems healing though too, just not just for our family, but
for everybody.
other families that are able to get up to the microphone and just talk.
Yeah.
Scream, yell.
Yeah.
And then you have other people, you can meet other contacts where you can have that connection of people that's going through the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like
just
Todd from Capel. We would have never met him without having Fort Capel, yes.
Yeah.
We would have never met him without having one of our walks.
And just remember the people we lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've met so many people really, really appreciated those walks. And it's like, I'm not doing it for you guys, but it's awesome. Like you are, but you aren't,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing it for yourself.
There's there's a little bit of selfishness in there.
Yeah.
And anger, or like rattle some cages, but it's But if you don't have that, then I know lots of people go into politics, or they do, they go around other routes to do it, but I don't know how to do that. That seems just as frustrating and annoying.
Yeah.
And so you need someone to rattle the cage and someone else to be,
Inside that cage, you're rattling.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
And we always
hand and play the games and all that stuff.
We always said we'd be Kai's voice, and we don't want to not be that voice for Kai.
Yeah. Well,
Whether we take a year or two off or whatever, but we always want to be that voice for Kai.
yeah.
He'll never be forgotten, and if we can save one life, it's more than worth it to us.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe you guys, like...
I can't believe us either.
I don't believe you guys. This is all bullshit. I can't believe how much work you guys have done and how vocal and open you've been, like I said, pretty much right from the day it's happened. Like,
Yeah.
And I know it started off with a lot of anger, maybe it still is anger, but it's...
I don't know if it's a little
it's
bit
very
of
vulnerable
anger.
of you to do this stuff, right? It's,
Well, we can't hide behind brick walls.
yeah.
We know what happened. We're not hiding it.
Yeah. Which is weird. Some families still do.
I was just gonna go there.
Yeah, okay.
It's hard to hide that in a small town, just saying.
No, but there's been other people, won't mention towns or names or anything,
Yeah.
but out walking their dog at 2 in the morning on the highway and have an accident with a semi. Well, let's call it what it is and get so we can advocate more money for suicide, mental health, addictions
Yeah.
instead of car accidents.
Right.
Let's...
Yeah, but some people, you can't accept that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes, they're ashamed to admit it or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't
But
hold
it's-
that against them either.
No, I
Like,
get
it's
it,
just-
but it's so frustrating from somebody that's open and knowing that the healthcare money won't come to where it should come to.
Yeah.
It'll go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're here with our
Yeah.
Yeah.
voices.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, Chris, because, yeah, like I say, yeah, I'll read death notices and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll say pass suddenly, and they won't, it's like, you know, quite often you'll think, okay, it was either suicide or overdose or something. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, why is there still the shame, or why do they still hide behind it, and why would you
Yeah.
want to perpetuate the stigma? But I'm not in their heads. I'm not
Yeah.
judging, but
Guy was just cleaning my gun that afternoon.
yeah, and like I said, I'm not judging.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if, you know, at some point there was no stigma or shame, and
Yeah.
they could just say what happened,
Yeah.
and that's why you're doing this, I guess.
Yeah. Because we're not the only ones, and it's nice to see the other side of it, survivors that have attempted suicides. We've had some of them at our walks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's older now. They were teens when they attempt it, and they tell their stories.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to hear that side of it as well.
Yeah. There were some powerful moments on the steps of the
There was.
legislative there when people are talking and crying and working stuff out just on the fly. It's not like they had anything prepared. And
No.
Yeah.
it was like, wow, this is.
And I think that's the best way to get the point across to some of these governing officials is on the fly.
Yeah.
People that came to support us that weren't going to go up and talk, and all of a sudden, oh, wait, no, this sounds like, yeah, let's go have my voice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go have my voice now.
Well, I really appreciate the walks, and I appreciate that you asked me to help, and because I didn't know what the hell I was doing the first time.
I think we did pretty good.
I think we did awesome, yeah.
Yeah, maybe with a few under our belts now, we could make it more impressive, and I think they've helped. Like, it's people are talking all the time now, and like even the politicians are talking about it. Whether they're actually doing anything about it or just creating new titles and positions for people, I don't know.
But they're talking.
Yeah, at least they're attempting to make things
Yes.
look better. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add that we didn't talk about?
I don't think so.
Just on a side note, personal note, the one officer we lost here a couple months ago,
Yes.
he was one of the first in our house, and I believe the last to leave.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. So
He
that,
must have been really young.
yes, he was only here a month or two. Like, he came out of the depot and came to Indian Head, and he was only out here a month or two when this happened.
Oh, I see.
So he was really young and, like I said, just out of the depot.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just in honor of him too.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Oh, good.
Because that
I'm
one
glad you
kind of hurt.
mentioned that,
When we heard that, it kind of hurt.
Yeah. I imagine that would sting a bit.
And I had to get out the damn police report. Chris remembered him being there. There's like a lot I had blocked out for
Yeah.
whatever.
Sure.
That's the way my head's working. So yeah, I had to pull out that police report, and sure enough, he was one of the first ones there, and the last one to close the door behind him. Yeah.
Thank you again so much, Chris and Wanda. I can't tell you enough just how much I appreciate that. And I think everyone listening appreciates it. I mean, it's just very brave of you to talk about this stuff, so thank you again. Now, near the end of the interview there, Chris mentions a police officer, Constable Shelby Patton was his name, and on June 12th, he was killed. He was an RCMP officer. He was here in Indian Head. He was 26 years old. Some of you from Saskatchewan might remember when that happened, just this recent June, or even in Canada, it was a national news, and the community's been very upset since. And he was just the sweetest guy. His wife's just the sweetest lady, and our hearts go out to their family, to the Pattons. The town of Indian Head has just recently announced that they are making a memorial park, especially for Constable Shelby Patton. So I think that's wonderful. So you can come to Indian Head and visit that park anytime you wish, sometime in the future once it's up and made. Okay, so now next episode, which is in a couple weeks from now, I talked to Dale Richardson, and he actually runs the Saskatchewan Podcast Network, and he has a couple podcasts of his own. One of them is called Persist, and it's a mental health podcast as well, and it's all about mental health in politics. He is a former Bradwell staffer, and he's in the know of politics, and that's something I never thought much about. But if someone who is in the know is so inclined to create an entire podcast on mental health and politics, then it must be kind of a big deal. So after speaking to him, I now know it is. So you can listen to that episode, and you too will know that it is. And you can check out his podcast, Persist, on the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. Again, that's saskpodcastnetwork.com. Okay, thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe, rate, and review however you are listening to this podcast. It only takes a moment, and it really helps the show out with getting noticed. This episode has been sponsored by Penny University Bookstore, 3104 13th Avenue. Call 639-571-2186 and check out their online bookstore at pennyu.ca. The Saskatchewan Podcast Network is supported by Connexus. Wellness, however you define it, is achievable. You don't even need to figure it all out by yourself. Talk to Connexus. They'll give you guidance, motivation, and the push you need to reach your goals. They've got you. They're your financial partner, and they know you can achieve your very best, your financial best. Prove them right. Start right at Connexus Credit Union. The Saskatchewan Podcast Network is also sponsored by Direct West. Are you a business owner looking for new avenues to promote your business? Direct West digital billboards are a great opportunity to highlight a new product, new promotion, or anything else you'd like your customers to know about. You can get local, expert marketing help for your business at directwest.com. If you are having a mental health crisis, please call the Canadian Crisis number at 1-833-456-4566. In Saskatchewan, the mobile crisis team in Prince Albert is 306-764-1011. In Regina, it's 306-525-5333, and in Saskatoon, it's 306-933-6200. Don't forget to check out my children's book, Sometimes Daddy Cries. Sometimes Daddy Cries is told through the eyes of a boy whose father suffers from depression. He sees his dad get sad, rest, and even go to the hospital, all while comparing his father's depression to a physical ailment. Available on Amazon.ca. I'll see you next time. This is Todd Redebaum saying, make your beds and take your meds. Bye.